bring in our political editor, Beth Rigby, who was at that press conference with the Prime Minister a short time ago. And Beth, what did you make of it? The Prime Minister quite bullish, quite happy to stand by his decision.
Yeah, look, there's a number of things that I took away from it, Jane. The first is clearly the Prime Minister wanted to make a statement to the country, wanted to tell the nation why he had taken the decisions he had taken, and also acknowledge the anxiety that this now six-day war is causing around the country, and especially for those families with relatives and friends stranded in the Middle East, and indeed who might have service men and women across the region. He acknowledged, he said, I know people are worried sick. He then gave a number of different updates. The thing that really struck me was in terms of the evacuations. He told us that now there are over 140,000 British citizens who have registered in the Middle East. He said that over 4,000 had come home on commercial flights, that they were trying to get more safe routes going, that a flight from Oman that had been due to go this morning had taken off within minutes of him making that press conference. But it was cold crumbs of comfort, really, for those anxious to get relatives and family and friends back home, because he acknowledged that it was going to be a massive operation to get those people home. He said it's going to be far more complicated than when the government was trying to get British citizens out of Afghanistan. That was the reference point he made. So that was a bit worrying. It was a kind of admission that this is going to take some time. The other thing that struck me was when he said in his statement it's going to take some time. And then I asked him about that in terms of the longevity of the war and the knock-on of that for the British public. And this is what he had to say. I think we've got that exchange.
This escalating war is really frightening people that are watching today. President Trump says it will go on for 4 to 5 weeks. You've just said it will be some time. Do you have any sense of how long it could go on for? Do you agree with President Trump? What's your message to the British people worried about how it's going to affect their lives? Can you give them any reassurance that you'll help them on energy prices? And just secondly, on military operations, there's much unhappiness that military personnel and their families were left unprotected on the Cyprus airbase that was struck at the weekend. What went wrong? And do you apologise to them? Thank you.
Well, Beth, let me set out my number one message, which is that our absolute priority is the safety of our citizens. And that is the focus for all the decisions that I have taken, including the decisions to pre-deploy in the way that I've described, and the decisions we're taking every day in order to deal with the situation on the ground in the region, the consular work to get people safely back home, and also what we're doing within the country, obviously, in relation to the division that can arise in situations like this. In relation to Cyprus, we've obviously had an airbase there for a very long time. There are protective measures in place, have always been in place. It's always been a protected airbase. It's not something new to protect the airbase. We pre-deployed further assets to Cyprus in January and February for that purpose, and we're bolstering that. So I want to be really clear to everybody in Cyprus that we're taking every measure that is needed to protect them, to protect the airbase, along with the other places in the region.
OK, and then I followed that up with, because he didn't answer the question on the longevity of this war, how long would it take? Did he agree with President Trump when President Trump says 4 or 5 weeks? And the Prime Minister simply replied, he simply doesn't know. And he said, I don't think anyone else knows either. So quite clear there, a Prime Minister sort of suggesting we could be in for the long haul here, that there is no sense of what the end game is on this. He simply repeated his position that there would need to be a negotiated settlement with Iran. And when he was asked later by Pippa Creer of The Guardian about whether or not Trump had a plan, he just simply swerved the question. So that is quite unnerving, that we are in an escalating war with no sense of the end game and how this might be de-escalated. So there was news on trying to evacuate people, told it's going to take some time. And then there was the Prime Minister acknowledging that this is quite an open-ended conflict. And then the knock-on of that, of course, is how does it affect our food bills, our energy prices, our prices at the pump when we want to get on a train. You know, it will have a massive knock-on implication for the economy and our cost of living if it carries on. The Prime Minister, again, didn't answer on any of that. And I think when it comes to some of the criticisms he's faced about the UK strategy and the decisions he's taken, well, he was pretty robust on that. He was very clear that there was no specific ask, as he put it, on Friday from the US amid this criticism from Donald Trump about him dragging his heels. He said when the request did come in for the use of those air bases, it was discussed over Saturday night into Sunday, and they were the decisions he's taken. And he said quite clearly when he was asked about ruining the special relationship, he said the special relationship is working right now, that British and US forces are working together, they are sharing information. He said that is a special relationship at work. And he said just as President Trump will make decisions that are in the interests of US citizens and the US national interest, he had to make decisions in the British national interest, and that is what he has done. He then said that he hasn't spoken, though, to President Trump since Saturday night. So really, this war of words and these very, very pointed criticisms of the Prime Minister from Donald Trump have come after that conversation where he said Keir Starmer was no Winston Churchill and the special relationship was ruined. It's quite clear from the PM's words there that he is going to continue on as he has been. He's not going to get into a rhetorical battle with President Trump, but he's going to show his decisions through policy. Finally, he also gave an update on what the UK is doing. He talked about sending out four additional Typhoons to join the squadron in Qatar. He talked about the Wildcat helicopters arriving in Cyprus, the warship that has been deployed, and he said he was replenishing stocks of military capability in the region to help that defensive exercise of trying to shoot down Iranian missiles and drones attacking UK allies. But I think one thing that really struck me was when he noted in his opening remarks that Iran, in response to these attacks from the US and Israel, had fired drones and missiles at 10 different countries across the regions, countries that had not attacked Iran, and that really is where the Prime Minister's focus is, which is trying to help defend those allies from further attacks and escalation. But it just underlines that what Donald Trump has unleashed with these attacks on Iran is a very, very uncertain picture where the escalation is continuing, and no world leader can, with any confidence, say if it can end soon.